Okay, my friends, here it is. The Saturday morning live stream at not the Garden Like a Viking headquarters. We are here at the Bates family farm, the place where I get my beef. And we are doing a consulting trip where we have created a aerated compost tea brewer out of a 250-gallon IBC tote. So if you guys have been watching my Instagram stories or anything like that, you will see that we are brewing the aerated tea in the 250-gallon tote, and then we're applying it by tractor, actual tractor, with a spray arms and everything like that. So it's really cool. He's trying to do the aerated compost teas to strengthen the pastures and the fields. So on a much, much bigger scale than we're typically used to. Yes? Okay, guys, but let me know how this sounds. The setup is, I have to make do with what I got. So the setup, I wish I had something to hold my microphone. Can you guys hear me? All right. Let's see here. Sunshine. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Thank you, guys. Let's see who is here. Sorry, I was a little bit late, but we are currently also doing the lining on the chest freezer ice bath. So we're making him a chest freezer ice bath so that he can make that a part of his life. Definitely. So guys, yes, okay, good to see you here. Brian, Pam, good to see you here. Val, yes. Meyer Lemons, Andre Brown, Terry Goody, Kip Tap, good to see you guys. Donald Hughes, yes. Teats Treats, what's up, my friend? I'm loving that sundew that you gave me, that carnivorous plant. Now, I did find that when I put it into the direct blazing sun, in a little tray of water, that is when it really started to thrive. Now it's producing dew. Every leaf has just dew dripping off of it. It's incredible. So they definitely like some direct sunlight, so I have found. So let's see here. David John. Okay, thank you, my friend. Sweeping Page, good to see you. Sweeping Page says, you sound great, but I always miss the first part of the live. It cuts off what I assume to be the first minute or so. Okay, that's good to know. Several people have told me that, so I need to, that's when we do the sound check and stuff like that. But guys, let us know what you are growing right now. Here's the thing. You want to resist feeling like the season is over, okay? Because it is not even close. So I have so many people that are like, oh, well, this season wasn't really that much of a success. And I'm like, what do you mean wasn't? It's not over. We're in the heart of the season. You can still plant all kinds of things. If you're in zone 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can still plant all kinds of stuff, guys. So leafy greens, that's in particular some of the best things. Let me try and move this over here so that I'm not holding this thing, because I'm the kind of guy that likes to talk with my hands. And so, guys, Jerry built this. Look at this. Jerry built this thing by hand. This cabin, these beams are all hand hewn. Well, they're not hand hewn. They're hewn with a mobile mill, but they're pegged, you see? And these walls are made of straw bales. He packed straw bales and made these. So let me get repositioned real quick, and then we'll get talking. But let's see here. Okay, here we go. Okay, oh yeah, that's gonna be kind of hard to see because it's a beautiful sunshiny day outside. Sorry guys, let me get a little bit, I've got this new stand. I finally got a stand. Okay, here we go. Okay, this'll work. Now let's have a conversation, my friends. Let us know. Okay, so the Kip Tap says, first jar of pickling cucumbers today. Yes, they are coming in strong now, guys. We're getting them pickling cucumbers. Now, keep it simple. I mean, if you haven't tried the fermented cucumber pickles from my video with just the bay leaf, the garlic, and the sea salt and the black peppercorns, give it a try. It is an unbelievable flavor. It's not classic dill pickle flavor, but it's like it enhances the flavor of whatever you put it with. So if you have like an Indian type curry or a Thai curry or anything like that, a bite of that, it enhances the flavor of the curry. It's just amazing. So Yes, highly, highly recommend making them that way first, and then you can branch out from there. Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool to have a guided tour of his place. I know, but I'm not confident that the internet connection is strong enough. But you see that stuff, guys? I mean, old school, putting the holes into the rafters and pounding the pegs into there and stuff. And they've got a wood stove that is handmade, welded with huge, thick iron, and it's really nice. Yeah. So, okay, good. Andre Brown says, it's so yummy. I tried your recipe for the cucumbers. I eat them as snacks. Absolutely. I still have some jars from last year, guys. So it lasts a long time. Ooh, Nancy Dewald, $20. Thank you, my friend, via Cash App. Says, good to see you. Yes, good to see you as well. Thank you. Thank you for being here, guys. This is like I focus my week. My week like is organized around the Saturday lives because I get to touch base with all you guys. It's really nice, and I go back afterwards most of the time and read, just skim through and stuff, the comments and things. And there's so much knowledge being shared from here, but from you guys as well. So that's what's great, right? Donald Hughes says, just planted radishes again. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, radishes you can keep planting and planting. Try some daikon radishes. If you're not into the real pungent radish flavor, but you want that crunch and you want daikon radish, okay? Highly recommend. Now, Jerry is a beef farmer, like a real cattle, like real beef farmer and so he planted some cover crops. Okay, he's been focusing on the soil. Now I've been talking with Jerry, picking his brain while I'm here. We're exchanging knowledge and information. We're doing different practices because we're in the heart of industrialized ag land. I mean, for miles and miles and miles, as far as you can see, is just industrial GMO corn and soybeans and cattle. Cattle that have grazed the ground to the ground, scalped it. But Jerry is all about focusing on the soil. He's been learning this the past couple of years. I've been down here several times and we talk often, and he's all about focusing on the health of the soil. And now, after just a couple of years of these practices, his pastures are thick and lush and rich. I mean, they can be more lush and rich, but coming from what it was, which is just used up industrialized type farmland that he was renting out for many years to other farmers. Now that he's focusing on the soil, everything is more self-sustaining. So it's just a beautiful thing to go out there and he's using cover crops. All right. He's using cover crops. Sam Potzik says, who else to call but the Messiah of soil? Yes, that's right. I mean, if you want to regenerate, if you want to focus on the soil and get things thriving, let's have a talk. Let's have a consultation. But look, this is part of his cover crop, guys. We just went out and he's rotational grazing these cattle. So it's amazing. So he's using just a small, and I'll be making a video of this whole experience for you guys. But he's using just one single line of the electric fence rope, and sections off the cattle for a couple of days here, a couple of days here, a couple of days here, and lets the other rest. Because he says the cattle only you want them to eat just the top 20%. You want to leave 80% of the pasture, of the plants left, and then it regenerates really quick. So the worst thing you can do is let it just mow it all down to the ground. Now, part of that is the cover crops. Look at these beautiful cover crops, guys. These are just from out there. Doing really good. I love sunflowers. Yes. So, VA Green. No, we're not in Ohio, actually. We are about 45 minutes west of Indianapolis. Well, way out, but we're about 40 to an hour west of Indianapolis. Yes. Keith Scott says, where can I find the cucumber snack recipe? I have made a video. I've got playlists on my channel now. So if you go in there, preserving the harvest playlist, you will see cucumbers, preserving cucumbers the old way, the ancient way, something like that. Lacto fermenting cucumbers. So they're totally different, guys. When you're into lacto fermenting, totally different. We call them pickles, but they're not really like, most people think of pickles, they think of vinegar pickles, and like a real sharp, stinging kind of thing. from the vinegar. But these lacto-fermented are completely different animal. So much, well, they're alive. They're bursting with life. The vinegar pickles are dead, totally dead for the most part, besides some acetic acid bacteria. But what we want is the lactobacilli, and so that a whole range of different substrains within the lactobacilli, and so we want to lacto ferment them, and it's a whole different experience. So if you have not done that with the cucumbers, I recommend you start with cucumbers. Well, so you can start with sauerkraut. I mean, that's really easy. Then cucumbers, and then tomatoes, guys. Your cherry tomatoes in particular. If you've not watched my video, get on the train of the cherry tomatoes. Ferment your tomatoes, okay? I highly recommend it. Let me get my cup of water real quick. Because, man, we've been working. So, let's see. What else you guys doing? Anna says, my sunflower didn't make it. Don't know why. Maybe too hot. Oh, it's not too hot for sunflowers. They can thrive in the blazing sun. What might have happened is that the animals got to it. Definitely. If it didn't even sprout, the animals can get to it. Anna says, can I use the same recipe from the cucumber with the watermelon skin? Now, I am not sure about that, but try it and let me know, because that would be awesome if we can do that. Let's see here. Val says, my first time growing cucumbers, pickling type. Most of them are turning yellowish orange. Too much water? Well, put some pictures to the Discord, because in your area, in the desert, straight desert, it's unlikely that they're getting too much water. If the soil can drain good and it's not stagnant, then cucumbers will love a lot of water. They love water. So it's unlikely that it's that. It would be more likely that the plant is stressed in some way, and so it will abort the cucumbers. Same with squash. It'll grow, even if it's gotten pollinated, and you'll see it growing, and then it just aborts. And that can be a sign of stress to the plant. Heat stress or pest stress or root zone stress. You got to figure out, okay, the 5 things that plants need: light, water, air, nutrients, and temperature. Then you have to assess those things. Okay, which one is the limiting factor? Which one is too much, not enough, something like that. So, but put some pictures to the Discord chat under garden pictures or pest issues and tag me in it. And then I'll be able to know for sure. If I look at it, I'll be able to tell, like, for the most part. But if they're not even forming, if they're just like that and they're turning yellow, then they're not getting pollinated. So that's what it is. So let us see. The Andre says, hi Nate, last year I prepared fermented tomatoes in 3 jars, exactly as you described in the video. However, in every one of the jars, tomatoes fell apart and became mushy, not tasty. Okay, so that is probably, so they do turn a bit mushy. Now they don't turn to pure mush though. They turn soft, but the key is to pick the tomatoes right before they really reach ripeness. You want them a little more green than you would actually eat them. That's important. If you've got these really ripe tomatoes, it tends to not work quite as good. And if you're concerned about that, you need to put them into the refrigerator. Now I've left them out for several months and they get more mushy. They get more tangy and effervescent, but they do get mushy, which is actually fine. So you can take that and mash it up and put it on top, use it like a fermented salsa. Put it on top of some bruschetta or some bread or something, or some crackers or some meat. You can use it that way, actually mashed up like a salsa. Now, if it's still an issue, then there's another sort of recipe that calls for putting 3, I know it seems like a lot, but tomatoes are hard to ferment. So if you're not having success for whatever reason, then you can put 3 tablespoons of sea salt into the liter of mason jar, fill it full of the tomatoes, and then put the water in there and shake it up. Now, the higher salt environment will keep them more solidified and will guarantee the appropriate fermentation. Now you can also put in more bay leaves, and that the tannins in the bay leaf will help to keep them more solid. Yes. So let's see. Jay Bramer says making refrigerator pickles, freezing basil and tomatoes. Yes, yes, salsa. Do you can your salsa, and do you have a recipe that you like that you can share with people, maybe on the Discord? Meyer Lemons, yes, squirrels get into my neighbor's raised bed and ate all of her sunflowers to the ground. Yeah, that tends to happen. And also, you can get volunteer sunflowers. Like at my mom's house, she has a bird feeder that she constantly fills, and there's sunflowers in the bird feeding mix. And so we've seen now this year sunflowers coming up in places we didn't plant them, from the squirrels burying them. It happens. Yes, Root Wired Gardens, live and alive. That's right, we are both. Sam says, for the bone broth, do you think the boxes at the grocery are even worth it? I feel they are super watered down. I haven't had a homemade in a decade, though. Man, there's absolutely no comparison. What they call bone broth in the store is like just a bone tea, more so. It's not that thick, hearty stuff with the good nutrients. I might make another video this year about the bone broth, because I'm not sure if my previous video had my new recipe I've been doing the past couple of years in it. But man, I love to make it in the fall time. So we will take huge amounts, like 2 or 3 huge bunches of celery, 5, 7 whole onions, 5 to 7 whole cloves of garlic, and a handful of whole peppercorns and sage and rosemary and thyme, big handfuls of each in a huge stock pot. And we will boil that down with the bones for about 24 hours, and then we'll strain it out. Now that is an absolute superfood beyond belief, and it's so thick and luscious and delicious. It really is. So Aaron Johnson says, I make bone broth from your recipe all the time. Nice. That's what we like to hear. So you're getting that good collagen. You're getting those good high quality fats, the saturated fats, the cholesterols. Remember, guys, we need these kind of fats and cholesterols. They are precursors to hormones, in particular testosterone. Yes. So it's very important to get plenty of saturated fat and cholesterol, because that is how your body makes these hormones, and it's all about hormone balance. Scott Murray, $10. Thanks, Dad. Good to see you're watching. Even though you don't got a garden this year, you got the space for it. Next year, we'll have to get you set up. We'll just do it right in the ground. I think that's going to be best. So thank you for the contribution, Scott Murray. And Meyer Lemons, yes, real bone broth heals your body. Absolutely. Guys, that is actually how, now, when I make a course, many of you know that I am sort of the world's foremost authority now on the Master Cleanse on my other channel, Thrive Like a Viking. And so I've been helping people do that for several years now. I think 5 years that video came out. And I have since sort of tweaked it a bit and developed my own way. So when I developed the Master Cleanse course coming in the fall, in the winter or the springtime, it will include the new system of the Master Cleanse that I've been doing the past several years, and that I instruct my friends to do now. But the way we come off of it is not orange juice anymore. It's bone broth, man. And it is so much easier, so much better on the body, and the digestion just kicks right back up. So after a 10-day Master Cleanse, we come off with the bone broth. Yes, sipping hot bone broth is so divine. Yes, yes. Jeff Sadler says, Nate, I can't thank you enough. I grew about 200 onions from seed successfully this year for the first time. They are drying out great. Yes, that's what we like to hear. Did you utilize the board method or not? But even if you didn't, it doesn't matter, because growing the onions from seed is one of the most rewarding things. For me, onions, garlic, and potatoes are the most important things to grow. It really is, because I use them constantly. Potatoes all the time. Onions all the time. Especially now, I got a new griddle, like an outdoor griddle that is amazing. I'll be making a video about it once I get more more experience and really understand it. But it is such a game changer having this griddle because it gets blazing hot, almost like red hot, but plenty hot enough that I can sear the stuff like I need to. Yeah. So it's wonderful. You can just cut a onion into sections and sear it right on there. Oh man, it's wonderful. Cut the bottom off of a whole head of garlic and just sear it right there on top. Oh, it's delicious. And so that is very important. Now we just had Kip Tap $10. Thank you, my friend. Says towards Scott's garden. I'm sure we will get some videos from it. Absolutely, we will. Yes, it will be in the ground, and well, you can count on it. We'll be getting videos from it definitely, because it's all about content now. You know, we need as much as possible. So yes, thank you for the contribution. And so I was talking about the potatoes, and we're here, and Jerry is growing potatoes, Yukon Golds, with the Ruth Stout method from the video for the first time ever this year. And for years they've been growing them, but they've been using the hilling method. And he's like astonished. He's like, man, it's so much easier. We're not digging into the soil and piercing them with forks and mounding up soil. You just put them potatoes on the ground and cover with the straw. And fortunately, he's got a large amount of straw available, but we just reached in there and pulled out half a bucket full of potatoes yesterday and roasted those for dinner, and it was amazing. We took the potatoes, we quartered them or cut them up into like 1-inch chunks and tossed them in olive oil and then laid them out onto the stone baking sheet and put whole cloves of garlic, like 10 whole cloves of garlic, because they got great garlic here as well. And that they grow themselves. And we put those in there and just roasted it at 420 for about an hour. And it was amazing. When we pulled it out, we brushed it with some of that cultured raw butter. It's so wonderful, guys. I mean, it is like a whole art form, a whole way of living when you start eating like that, like this. When it's all about the minerals and the life force and the eating what you're growing. And it's just a wonderful thing. So when you link up with other people that are into it, it's like, oh man, definitely. You know, when they give you some eggs and then they tell you exactly where they're from and what kind of diet those chickens had, then you're like, all right, I got you. I can understand that. So Mom Computer says, shoot. A tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in when making bone broth. Absolutely. Yes, that I do. Much more than that, actually. Well, I have a huge pot, but I'll do like a quarter cup of the apple cider vinegar. Yeah, it helps to really leach out the nutrients from the bones. And and so that dinner that we had last night was amazing because the potatoes were roasted and stuff. And when you pull them out, you brush them with that butter. That's very important. And then you don't salt them until they come out. Once they come out, then you get that real thick. I don't have it here. That thick rock salt. Yes, the real thick rock salt. Sprinkle it liberally all over. Don't use that real thin salt because then every bite is salty. But if you use that thick rock salt, then you'll get potatoes, and some bites won't have the salt, but then you'll get a chunk of the rock salt. Wow, and it's so delicious. That's why I love using rock salt. It makes a more inconsistent flavor, which can be really desirable in a dish like that. So the so that's what we were doing, and it was wonderful. And we're at the beef farm, so we had amazing ribeyes. Yeah, amazing. So Alex Coonan says, do you believe someone can thrive off of a vegetarian or vegan diet? Now that's a great question. Now that's a question I get a lot, and the answer to that is that and here's where my answer is based: firsthand experience in the world, traveling for these 10 years in different cultures, in the Himalayas, in the Khumbu region of Nepal, and seeing people living in certain ways. And so these people, these Sherpas, were eating almost exclusively yak meat. with a little bit of rice maybe, and a little bit of this leafy green, but mostly yak meat, yak cheese, yak butter, because that's what was available, and some dried fruits and things from the lower lands. But these people were extraordinarily healthy, robust, very robust, and hiking up and down these mountains all day, carrying huge loads, like a mule can do. And it was just astonishing in flip flops, And so, while the Western people, had all this hiking gear on and stuff and looked like they were going on an expedition to the moon and everything. And so these Sherpas were just in like a t-shirt and some ratty jeans and flip-flops, and they were blowing by everybody. So now they existed on almost an entirely meat diet for the most part, and they were thriving. But I've also met cultures in Sri Lanka and southern India and other parts of the world that were almost exclusively vegetarian. I met people that have never tasted meat in their whole life, and they were also thriving. But the common thread among these is that they were eating natural stuff. They were eating food that is not processed. That's what it comes down to. They were not consuming chemicals. So us being an omnivore, we can thrive on plants or meat. But we cannot thrive with the chemicals and the preservatives and the processing that man has done to the food in the last 100 years. Really, in the last 30 to 50 years, it's gotten insane. But we can exist. So I don't believe that there's a one type only for the human. We can eat so many different things, and I feel that we should eat so many different things. That's what we're best to do. Okay, so we're getting in all of this wide variety of nutrients, but the key to it all is that it has to be in as close to its natural state as possible, grown in soil that is consciously cultivated. You understand? So that the minerals are there, so that the life force is there, and we can thrive on that. So there's not a one size fits all. Now, for me, I was 2 years vegetarian when I came back from the mountains and stuff, and I was at the Indiana Buddhist temple, and I was teaching meditation there, and I was really deeply into that at that time. And so I was there every day, and I was eating with the monks and really living with them. Now, they're vegetarian, and so I was vegetarian as well for those 2 years. And I can say that you can thrive on eating vegetables, but you have to do it right. And most people don't. Most people that are, I call them the French fries and beer vegans. French fries and beer are vegan. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's any healthier in any way. Now, if you do it right, meaning lots of beans and lentils and protein sources, good quality protein sources, and you lay off of the processed soy and all of that kind of thing, the processed, tofurkey and the fake bacon and the Beyond Meat, all that stuff is absolute garbage for the body, guys. Total garbage. Chemical sponges. And that stuff is only for people that are deeply morally opposed to eating an animal of some kind, but they still want to fake their mind like they're eating meat and stuff, which that's their own thing. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. But so for me, I found that my body, those 2 years, I look at myself and I was starting to develop circles under the eyes and stuff. I was not thriving in the way that once my body started craving meat again, actually in the form of beef liver, I started craving raw beef liver. And I was like, what? Even though I never ate it before like that. So I started eating raw beef liver, and my body that's how I broke the vegetarianness, is I started eating raw beef liver, and immediately my body was like, yes, this is what we need. And so, whoa. So I started feeling so much more alive, and that led me down the path. So now the past 4 years, I pretty much eat red meat every day. But I also eat vegetables that I grow myself. In the wintertime, it's root vegetables, a sweet potato, potatoes, and then winter squash, the storage crops, and pasta sauce, red sauce and stuff like that. But and then during the summer, I still eat the meat. I'll have a big steak or something like that. But then vegetables from the garden, tons of vegetables, fresh vegetables. So you eat with the seasons. And that is... for me, that is superior and the ultimate way. And I feel like that is the ultimate, diet for most people. Now, if you, the key is that everything is as close to its natural state as possible, though. So that really is the key. So yeah, you can thrive either way, but you have to be very careful. I've met way more sickly, pale, malnourished vegetarians and vegans than people that eat a lot of meat. So yes, a lot of the vegans and stuff. I mean, vegans especially. When you see them talking, they kind of look like a corpse a little bit. They're just real gaunt, and their skin, circles under their eyes, and hair that looks like ashes and stuff. So it's you got to make sure you're getting the minerals. So yes, and guys, once I learn about testosterone production, it's all about optimizing hormones. This is the cold training, the contrast therapy, the intermittent fasting. All these kind of things are all for optimizing hormones. And so you need that cholesterol. I eat 6 eggs every day. Every day, the past 2 years, 6 eggs in my shake every day, raw. Not saying you need to do that, but that's what I do. And that's what works best for me and gives me the most energy. And see, even just talking about it, my body's like, because I haven't had it yesterday or today, but I'm missing it. That raw milk and them 6 raw eggs. So, what's up, Jason Hetty? Canning 10 dozen ears of corn. Nice. Did you grow that? No, not. You had to buy that. But still, that's great. Yes, Nima says, much respect, though I definitely believe it's all about the way we're producing our food. Absolutely, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's all about the way we're producing and processing the food, for sure. And it's all about the minerals. I mean, especially something like beets and potatoes that are typically very high in minerals. You want them to be grown in nutrient-rich soil because that a direct link to the flavor is the mineral content. That is why we have built into us a nutrient analyzing device, which is our taste. But it's been hijacked by modern chemicals, and the flavors and the processing chips and cookies and all the preservatives and things have totally hijacked. But once you break that addiction and you detoxify from that for some time, then you will become more sensitive to the flavors of things, and you will know. Like, for example, how many of you have had a store-bought tomato? And it's like, oh man, super disappointing to eat a store-bought tomato. Just flavorless, like kind of sour, crunchy water, as opposed to growing one yourself is full of rich flavor. That is because the store-bought one is grown almost void of minerals, and it's grown in a way to just get as big and heavy as fast as possible. That's the only goal. And the homegrown ones are slower, and they have the minerals of the soil, and we eat this. Yes, yes. Yes, Vince Ramsey says we need good soil. Micronutrients transfer from the soil to the plant. Biology. Yes, this is exactly right. The plant is an expression of the soil, and gardening and growing, you will understand this in a very deep level. So the plant will tell you what is happening in the soil. And if the soil is right, then the plant, whatever you put in there, will be right for the most part. Because the plant is what it eats, and so are we. And so we are an expression of what we consume as well. The soil is everything. Yes. Root Trackers says soil is everything. That's correct. From the soil we come, and from the soil we return. This is true. Sam Potzik says, I do think it boils down to genetics, though, if we can thrive on the vegan diet or not. It's possible, yeah. But so many vegans, though, just aren't that healthy looking. They're not really thriving. And I don't, well, because it can be done, but in a very specific way. In the cultures that are vegan or vegetarian, no culture is vegan, really, that I'm aware of. But to the cultures that are mostly vegetarian, like the monks in Sri Lanka and stuff, they can thrive, but they have to do it right. They're still eating fish, definitely, but they're eating lots of lentils with every meal. It's not just little tofurkey and soy crumbles and all this processed Beyond Meat and stuff like that. They're eating natural foods that are prepared in the cultural way. That's the key. That's the key. So, let's see here. Jason Hetty said, mix my first batch of bat, seabird, worm castings this morning. Is that right? Yes. So that stuff is going to be ready to apply this evening, and you're going to spray it on the plants, and they are going to love that, guys. They're going to love this. Gary Smith, $25 via PayPal. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the consistent contributions. I got you one last week, I think it was, and you couldn't watch. You were driving. Yes. Thank you very much, my friend. So I've got my emails and my notifications on while we're here talking, but I'm not always like this. So don't think that, because I know a lot of people email me and stuff, but don't think I don't just like, I'm not instantly accessible. I don't have my phone like that. I shut all my notifications off, and I only have certain ones coming on. Because when you start becoming a content creator, like a professional social media person, it's so easy to get totally overwhelmed, bombarded by correspondence, because now your reach, your audience is thousands and thousands of people now. And so it's like, it's a skill to develop, to know, okay, when, because I still have to like live my life, normally. So Alex Forgay, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate this. Says, good morning, Nate. I need to know how to get rid of the spider mites that popped up in my garden this last week. Avid is out of the question nowadays. Those days are over. Yeah, okay. I know what kind of garden you're talking about then. Yeah, those days are over. Yeah, where you could just use the Grow More and the Eagle 20 or the Forbid. Those days, yeah, and they should have never been here in the first place, but they were. So now, spider mites. Is that in your indoor tent? Is it in a greenhouse? Is it in outdoor full term, or what? Now, that's a big question, though. So it will depend on several things. Is it indoor, outdoor, or greenhouse, or what? So I will look for the answer. Now, let's see here. Blue Wolf says, almost every vegan I have met looks like a walking skeleton. I mean, almost every vegan. Yes, I've not really met, and at the very least, they are just rail thin. But most of the time, the complexion and stuff, and they tend to be really soft. They tend to be really soft. But there's always exceptions to everything, guys. There's always exceptions to everything. For example, Wim Hof is vegetarian, not vegan, but vegetarian, and arguably, Wim Hof is the baddest man on the planet, in my opinion. So, there's exceptions to everything. But personally, I thrive way better with some meat. And meat is so easy to digest. Once you get the proper microorganisms, having the meat and potatoes and certain things, it's so easy to digest, as opposed to pasta and lentils. Guys, when I was doing those 2 years of vegetarian, I was making sure I wanted to get that protein. So I was tons of lentils and beans. And I tell you what, I was bloated for 2 years straight and just uncomfortable. All that fiber, my system couldn't handle it. And at first I was like, well, I just need to adapt to it. I just need to get over it. It never adapted to it. 2 years into it, and I go full bore into something when I do it. So 2 years into it, I was still not adapted. I was still just tons of gaseous effect and just uncomfortable bloating and stuff. And I was cooking Ayurvedic style, really deeply into it, preparing everything properly for my dosha, and so I was really doing it. And I felt good. I still felt good and everything, but it was such taxing on my digestive system to deal with all of that fiber was difficult. So now when I eat a steak and some fried or some sauteed collard greens and maybe a little potatoes, no problem digesting. So let's see here. Sam, thank you very much. $5.55, my friend. Thank you for the contribution, the angel numbers. It's for giving your time and wisdom throughout the week. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you, definitely. Yes, I appreciate you. And I believe it was you, right, Sam, that we were talking about the IMO and stuff. And so, yeah. And I think there was some kind of response. But I totally appreciate that kind of thoughtful. It's not like I don't see it as arguing or anything like that. I totally appreciate thoughtful, perspectives and stuff like that. Even if it goes against what I'm saying, doesn't matter. I mean, that's perfectly acceptable because I'm just speaking what I know to be true based on my life experience and my life. So I'm not nothing that I say is like a gospel fact. Although I say it is, it's not actually. You know what I mean? So yeah, not a problem. If you want to collect IMO and do all that stuff, absolutely have a good time doing it, man. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. But I am here to streamline everything. My whole thing is taking a process and distilling it. That's what I'm all about, in all aspects of these videos and stuff like that. Distill it to as simple elements as possible and still be mega effective. Tyrana Mana says, I'm a very long-term vegetarian. I need a little dairy though, and especially butter and ghee. Oh yeah, I couldn't do it without ghee, butter. My body just never worked with meat, so I'm so happy with my food. See, right there. So there's a person that is perfectly happy with it, and that's absolutely fine. But the key is not the processed stuff. So going to the health food shop and going to the freezer section and getting bags of this and that, little fake chicken nuggets and fake meat and fake pastas and fake other things, all this stuff that's meant to mimic the real thing, real flavors and stuff. That's all just not the way to go. That is people tricking themselves, in my opinion and experience. The real vegetarians that I see thriving, like Wim Hof and stuff, are eating whole foods, are eating lots of grains and lentils in the right proportions and just doing it right. There's ways to do it right. So, let's see. Mom Computer says, Nate, I just sent you an email, pics that you might want to show on the podcast. Did you? Okay, let us see. Jeannie Faciani says, I really think it's everyone is different. So like me, I have diverticulitis, so I have to watch fiber and red meat. I also watch my protein intake due to my kidneys. Yes, yes. Now, my first thought is, okay, how old are you? And how long were those conditions developing without you knowing this? Because all of those are things that you would develop through lifestyle over time. Is this right? So we could say that through a different diet and lifestyle for those decades leading up to that, it could have been different, perhaps. This is just always my first thought on things of diet related and things that we develop over time. I mean, this is okay. This is the picture you sent me. This is a little bit mean, but I've seen this one before, and it's absolutely spot on. Yeah, eating vegan, and this is what most of them look like. I mean, it really is. When I lived in California, most of the people that are straight vegan promoting this stuff do literally look like this. It's not a joke, really. That's the funny part, is that it's not a joke. And just rail thin. The guy's just looking super thin and incapable of physical things. Ideally, you want to be robust. You want to be very robust and resilient, no matter your age, no matter what, no matter no matter what, you want to be robust and resilient. And so, Mom, did you see they're all 28 years old? Oh, I thought they were all they were all these 4 28-year-old vegans. Yeah, I thought that they were vegans for 28 years, right? It's just not a joke. I mean, it's literally, especially that guy and the haunting look of the females that are just kind of malnourished, chronically malnourished. And it doesn't have to be that way though. So don't, we're just poking fun. So, so let's see here. DLR says, that might be the first valid reason I've ever heard for being vegan. I appreciate your honesty. Glad it brought you to do gardening. Let's see. I want to see that response. Nima, let's see here. Did you have some kind of... Oh, yeah. Nima says, I don't think I would have started gardening if I wasn't vegan. Hey, then it's a plus. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's, but the thing is that you can be both. I mean, absolutely. But you want to be growing them calorie crops. You want to, so a lot of vegans are like, having 8 different kinds of lettuce and spinach and then salad for this and salad for that. And that's good as a side or something. But you want to have a dense, good source of nutrients. And for me, it's the steak. And then to have the salad. I have arugula salad. We have arugula salad all the time. Or watch the video that I made last year about cabbage steaks. And we prepare cabbage like that. It is so delicious. Just eating that cabbage, the potatoes while they're in season, super good for you. So it's wonderful. Let's see here. Yeah, gaunt. Yes, definitely. So the Big West says, a strong man can be kind, but a weak man can't be strong. This is well said. Yes. Okay, Jeannie says, I hope I'm saying that right, Jeannie, was the one that says that she's been long-term, or that she has diverticulitis and stuff. So she says, I'm 65 and you're correct, but didn't know it until now. There we go. I take care of myself with natural and home-cooked food. Once in a while, eat processed, but once in a while. Okay, so see, that's the response to that question, or to the statement of about she's got the diverticulitis and kidney issues. And so that's what a lot of people don't realize until it's already upon them, because they haven't been forced to look at that in their life. So a lot of people will go about their life and then all of a sudden, oh no, they've got these problems. They go to the doctor. Well, you got diverticulitis. Oh, okay. I guess I got that. But they don't tell you about the 25 years that led up to that. And all of the choices and all of the lifestyle habits that led up to that. Because think about it, guys. If you type in what are the top killers in the industrialized world, they are all things that you develop. They are not things that you catch. They are things that, like, heart disease is number 1. Cardiovascular disease is number 1. They are things that you develop through lifestyle. Cancer, although that can be argued, but cancer. But you don't catch these things. They're not like a virus or a bacteria. You know what I'm saying? So this should demand re-examining of our lifestyle. So Andrea Brown says, the cabbage steak video made my mouth water. We'll be trying that recipe this year. Oh yeah, but make sure you make that fermented mustard. So I know if Harvesting Faith Homestead is watching this, I know I promised like 8 months ago to make that video, but I really should now. It'll be a short, but I ferment my own mustard, and that is the key. The fermentation of your own mustard in the mortar and pestle is the way to go. It really is. And so it unlocks the flavor. If you guys haven't used a mortar and pestle, then I recommend you getting into it, because the flavor is totally different. The way that the mortar and pestle pounds, it bursts the little cells. It bursts the bubbles of flavor. As opposed to blending it or grinding it, slices and chops them. It's different. It's just a different flavor profile. So stone grounding the mustard is the way to unlock the most flavor. Yes, Big West says, my second round of basil is thriving. Right on schedule. Thank you for that video. Absolutely. Yes, man, by the time we get back, we've been gone 3 days now. So by the time I get back, I already know there's going to be tons of cucumbers that'll need picked. The basil's probably already gone to flower a little bit more. And there's all kinds of stuff. But guys, I'm definitely moving to drip lines next year in the home garden. I'm doing a total renovation of the garden. So you guys will see it. I'll make several videos about it this fall and in the spring. Total renovation of the garden. And we're going to install drip lines because I'm done relying on the rain. It's just too inconsistent, and we'll go weeks and weeks without rain, and we have no rain on the forecast. So that's just unacceptable. So I'm just going to put in drip lines. That way I will not have to worry about it. So it's already been too long without rain, and even with the heavy mulch, you can only go so long. B. Hendricks says, I just harvested 3.5 ounces of black mustard seeds. Whoa, nice. Now, the reason I don't do that anymore is because of how laborious it is and how much space it takes up. When I have the land, we will have a section of growing it so that we can dedicate it to mustard production. All right. But at the moment, I don't have the space for that. It takes up too much space for what you get. So Kesia's Kitchen says, or Quezia's Kitchen says, I feel like I am in the best class every Saturday listening to you. I hope you have a blessed day. Yes, you too, my friend. Thank you very much. And let me know if you have any topics we need to discuss. Typically, I have a bunch of things to show you guys, but I'm, on the road. So I'm just flow of consciousness. So if you guys have questions, let us... Keith Scott says, I can send you photos, but how? Of what? And you can either put them in the Discord chat, which is great because other people can see and benefit from our experience. Or if you need to, you can email me at gardenlikeaviking@gmail.com. Yeah, Stone Creek says, I'm doing a new watering system, but it's not drip tape, but little sprinkler heads. I think this will be less of maintenance issue. Drip gets dirt in the holes. It can, but you need to have that pre-filter on there, and you need to be able to flush them out because we use drip lines extensively in California. That's the only way we did it. And they can be really great so long as you do it right. Let's see here. Keith says, Nate, did your potato sprout only no chit experiment turn out well? I've already harvested mine. Small yield, but it was only a 5-gallon bucket experiment, but I'm starting another planting now. I never got around to doing that. I was never able to do that. Are you talking about the one that people are doing now where the sprout grows long and you bust off just the sprout and plant that? I never got around to it because I had so many potatoes already from my uncle's spot and from my spot, and I tried. Someone sent me. I got like 5 different types of specialty potatoes this year: banana fingerling, French fingerling, purple Viking, the Austrian crescent, which I'm growing at the home garden. But I know that one. I love that one. But the greatest of all, guys, is the German butterball. That is the greatest potato. It really is. The most difficult of all to grow, though, I can say that, because it catches the blight really easily, and it catches scab really easily, and it is an indeterminate type of potato. So the vines are not pretty because based upon my research, not my in the field research, based upon my firsthand experience, the whole determinate and indeterminate potato thing is not the same as tomatoes. The indeterminate potato or determinate, they are only talking about the above ground portion, the growth habit of the above ground. The determinate potatoes grow in a bush pattern and they can support themselves pretty easily. They grow stout and in a bush pattern. The indeterminate potatoes grow in long, sprawling vines. And it doesn't matter if you bury them, they don't produce more. They only produce pretty much at the level that you plant the original potato. And I've done experiments with it and they just don't produce more. So I think most of those videos are just fake, like all the other fake videos out on YouTube about gardening. So the German butterball is an indeterminate potato, and the vines just keep growing. They get like 7 feet long, and they look real sickly. They're not an attractive plant, but they produce oh man, the German butterball is twice as dense as the Yukon Gold. I mean, it's super dense and rock hard, so it's really nice. It's really nice. Dorothy Fu says, I am interested in seeing how you incorporate drip line with aerated compost tea. Yes, I know. I will be filtering it really good. I will have a filtration system through the pillowcase, and then there's an inline filter that is changeable. But most of the air, it's going to be all about foliar. You know, you can foliar the aerated teas really well as well. But I will probably put it through the drip line. I'll have to do some. We did it in California, but it was just different there. It was just different. So, but I will probably put that through the drip lines. Yes, but it's all about the filtration. It's all about the filtration. So it's got to be a fine enough micron to work. Yes. So now somebody gave a D Wright $20. Thank you very much for the contribution, my friend. Says, hi Nate, can you speak to using lemongrass? Are the leaves of any value? First time growing this year. Okay, lemongrass, several things. One, it is a very good repellent of insects. So you can have lemongrass by your front porch, and it grows huge. It's a grass that can grow like 5-6 feet if it's fertilized properly, if it's got the right nutrition. And it likes lots of water and full sun. So to grow the biggest, craziest, or partial, it's a full sun to really slight partial shade, it can do. But you want it to be rich with lots of nitrogen. So chicken manure works really well for that. Also, you could use alfalfa meal. You can use blood meal, many things. Feather meal is a good slow released one. But the lemongrass, now you can make tea out of it. And I was making tea out of it for some time. But guess what? It's another herb that is a sedative, apparently. And I was wondering why that. I was even talking with you guys, and I would have a bunch of lemongrass, a big wad of lemongrass in the tea with the mint, and I'd be sipping on it. And by the end of the live stream, I'd be like, I would just have to go and take a nap. I'd be so tired. And I was like, what? And so I did some more research, and yes, lemongrass can have sedative properties, just like the catnip. But the catnip was seriously sedative. I mean, I felt, it reminded me of the old life, I felt like buzzed. That was not desirable to me at all. So it was, the only time I would take catnip is if I was sick, as if I like catch the flu or something, which never happens. But if I did, I would drink catnip because it would just put you out, man. It's so strong. So the lemongrass is not that strong, but it's a great flavoring. Now I will put it into, Hogue says, nap like a Viking. Yeah. So I will put it into flavorings of things. Yes. But mostly it's just a wonderful thing. I will still drink the tea like in the evenings and stuff. Mostly it's wonderful to just cut. When people come over, I have it by the front porch. Just take a cutting, give it to them. They smell it. Whoa. And then they'll like have it. It's also great for bouquets of flowers. I've been doing that a lot this year, and making bouquets out of the flowers. And so you can put a couple of long strands, plumes of the lemongrass, and it looks really good. So, there was a question from somebody that I think I forgot about. Somebody asked about spider mites. Now, did we ever determine if that was indoors or outdoors? I forget. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, let me know. Re-ask that question if you would, please. Is it indoors or outdoors? So that will kind of tell us a little bit more of what. Because if it's indoors, you got to change the conditions. But if it's but you can still spray the ultimate slug solution, but not if the plants have really got them flowers going on. You can't spray anything on there. So if the okay, you think it was outdoors. Okay, so it depends. If it's going to still receive It depends how far along it is. If it's still going to receive rain and stuff, and the flowers haven't really formed, then you could use the ultimate slug solution. That will kill the spider mites. It will desiccate them, definitely. So that is what I would use. Now, otherwise, yeah, otherwise it can be tough because when I was really doing that, yeah, I don't really actually have the ultimate slug solution is what I would use, but you can't. It's not like vegetables where you can use it the day before harvesting because those flowers will absorb some of that flavor, and you don't want that. If they're full on, if the flowers have really started to form. Let's see here. The D. Douglas says, "What is your take on Back to Eden with wood chips?" Back to Eden, people have really taken to it. And I tell you what, I've done a lot of consultations because I'm doing them every week now, multiple times a week. So if you guys need a consultation, you want to get a plan for next year, or you want to know you want to ask me a bunch of questions that you haven't got answered, let me know. 100 bucks for an hour and or a little bit over an hour, whatever it is, we will get you a plan. You explain to me your vision and what you want to get out of your garden, and we can do anything. If it's about making fertilizers, if it's about what should you plant, we can do all of that. You can show me the garden and stuff like that. But I am available for that at the moment. I don't know how long I'll be doing those kind of things because I'll not have the time. But now I do, so we can get that scheduled. If you want that, let me know. Email me at gardenlikeaviking@gmail and say consultation request. But the yeah, I'm doing a lot of consultations I do are Back to Eden people that they've got wood chips down now, and you go there and always I already know as soon as they say, well, I've got a thick layer of wood chips, or I spread wood chips throughout my garden. I already know that we're going to go out to their garden and I'm going to see a bunch of starved plants, sick, and because they're starved, they're going to be infested with pests. They're going to be sickly. They're going to be not thriving, okay, because they're starved for nutrients. And sure enough, every time when you go out there and you just see these yellow little pepper plants with a couple leaves on them and a couple little squash plants yellow, everything's turning yellow and just got pest and disease and stuff. And that is pretty much the majority of Back to Eden experiences. And that was my own at first, many years ago. But so if you're going to do Back to Eden, it can be good. Yes, it can be very good, but it's a long-term thing. So if you've got a wood chipper, or you've got access to that level of wood chips, and you've got an area that you want to grow in 4 years from now, then you dump a huge load of wood chips and several feet thick and let it decompose for the next 4 years, basically. Then you can plant into it. Until then, it's just not going to be what you want. In certain situations, you say, well, what about the Back to Eden guy? What's his name? Paul something? I forget. Well, okay. In his situation, in his soil, that works. He's been doing it for like 40 years. And okay, so that works. But for the most people, they just want to take a plot, dump a bunch of wood chips on it, and plant. And that is not going to be the ticket for success. You'd be way better off composting all those wood chips with a nitrogen source and turning that into actual compost first. Because here's the thing. Remember that in the garden, the fast engine of decomposition for fungi decomposes as well on a much slower scale, so it's different. But when for the garden, for a lot of vegetables, they like that bacterial domination, and so the engine of decomposition is bacteria, and the gasoline for that engine is nitrogen. That is why fresh grass clippings will get so blazing hot that they'll burn your hand, scald your hand within just a few hours if they're left in a pile, because the nitrogen, the bacteria is going crazy. But if you take that same pile of grass clippings, spread it out immediately, and let all the nitrogen evaporate, and then you put it together a couple of days later, then it will just sit there like that, pretty much indefinitely. That's what hay is, and so it will just sit there. because the nitrogen is not there, and the moisture, but the nitrogen. So the wood chips will temporarily make nitrogen unavailable. They will absorb the nitrogen, not from far away, but in the area where they're in contact with the soil. It doesn't like leach it out of the soil like a lot of people think, but it does require that where it contacts the soil. So we never mix it in any way. Okay. It can be a good mulch so long as we're planting into the soil underneath the wood chips. So that's the thing. Okay. So like I said, it can work great for some people in certain situations, depending on the type of soil that you have, depending on several factors. But I would say the place I see people failing the most are back to Eden gardeners. That I can say for sure. Yeah. And I know from my own experience that it takes several years before that soil becomes good. But once it does, though, and then you've got some good soil for a long time, and you can just top it off with the wood chippings or the wood chips. So it's a long-term game. See, Mick Hegarty says, seriously, 4 years, folks. I did it in my old backyard, and it sucks up so much nitrogen. It does. It sucks up nitrogen to the point where you can't even really supplement. Even if you're dumping fish fertilizer, JDOM, grass fertilizer, even if you're putting that liquid stuff in there, it still isn't the same. It just isn't. Them wood chips are a beast to decompose. Yeah. So it can be different. Yeah. Now remember, I always have to talk to the mass, to the general people. There's always specific situations that can work and can be different, and you might be one of those. But I'm saying, in general, you will have the least amount of success with the back to Eden method. Yes. You'd have way more success creating a hot compost pile, which next year there will be several videos on that coming out because I'm filming them all this year for you guys. But I like the videos that are complete. I'm not going to build the pile and say, okay, and then yada, yada. I like to be able to show the whole thing. But the best way to do it would be to hot compost a bunch of things and then use that compost next year. And then you can do straight straw mulch. Just straw mulch is really good. And then at the end of the year, you take that straw mulch and all the plant material, hot compost that. The whole garden gets hot composted at the end of the year and then spread back out in the form of compost by the following spring. So Brian Kubik says, wood chips absorb smells and farmers use them for that. Yes. So in certain situations, Joe Salatine, I've seen several of his videos and I've seen other operations doing this, where they will compost whole animals in huge mountain of wood chips. But we're not talking about sprinkling some wood chips over a dead animal. We're talking about using a bucket loader and burying it, entombing this animal in several feet of wood chips. So they've obviously got a wood chipper there, a commercial, grade wood chipper. And they've obviously got enough acreage where they can just feed wood into there and huge mountains of wood chips. And then, yes, they do take their bobcat, or it's a dozer of some kind, and bury the whole hog or the whole cow. And there's so much nitrogen in that. I mean, that's a whole different thing. That's a whole different thing than what we're talking about. So that's a great way to do it. But, oh man, there's so many hummingbirds here. They're just flying around constantly. That's a great way to do it, but that's way beyond the scope of most home gardeners. Yeah. So, yeah, VA Green says, sounds like the growing in a straw bale thing. Right, yeah. The growing in the straw bale can be, for most people, is disastrous. And when I see, well, I've got a straw, when I hear that even, and they're like, well, I'm having some issues. I'm like, okay, describe to me your garden. Well, I've got a straw bale garden. As, oh, God, okay. I already know right away. They're going to be starved of nutrients, and the plants are going to be tiny and weak. You're going to get a couple of tomatoes off of weak little sick-looking plants, because they don't got that nutrient. They need the earth. If at all possible, they want the earth, and they want well composted stuff. They do. Yeah. Argyle says, running out of time for watermelons. Should I trim vines that have no fruit so everyone's got melons? Yes. If you're running out of time, trim the growing tip. This is true with summer squash as well, or winter squash, like the Tahitian melon squash. If you're afraid that in the next 4 to 6 weeks they're not going to ripen, then prune the growing tip off. Okay, and that will really help, because like the watermelon, the Tahitian squash, they will just grow and grow and grow and grow, keep setting new fruit. So terminate that growing tip, and that will immediately help them to force to ripen the stuff that they do have. All right. So Brian says, well, even home gardeners, they need carbon in the soil, but having that manure compost is good for the garden. Definitely, that is good for the garden. What I'm talking about is not for the home gardener, is composting whole hogs in a mountain of wood chips with a bobcat and a backloader. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. You definitely, that compost is amazing. So there was some questions here that I forgot. Yeah, Spencer says it only takes a small amount of nitrogen to offset the carbon to nitrogen imbalance of wood chips. I disagree with that. I in my experience is that it takes way more than you would think. That you think I'll just sprinkle some chicken manure in there. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't for some reason. Theoretically, if you know the carbon to nitrogen ratio of stuff, yeah, maybe that can work, but it's not. It just doesn't work like that in real life, in practice. That, from what I found, and knowing the carbon to nitrogen ratio of things has not directly correlated to being able to compost things really well and create thriving soil, in my experience. Maybe with you it's different. We don't know. Gregory Day, $30 via PayPal. Thank you very much, my friend. Says in Fort Worth, regular 100 degrees from late June and no rain. The best producing plant in the heat is bell peppers. Great omelets. Nice. Experimenting with starting to prep plants for the fall. Yes. So you obviously could grow all year round, or you could grow over the winter. No problem. So you can grow, even if you get a frost. I don't know if you get a frost. You can grow the brassicas, cabbages, collard greens, kale if you want, if you like kale. Many things like that. Short day onions, definitely grow those over the winter time. Now, you also could try rattlesnake pole beans. They do really well. Also, purple hull pink eye peas. Those do really well. Both of those will grow in the screaming heat of the deep south. No problem. Mom Computer says, Nate, doesn't the attached potato feed the potato sprout as it grows? It does, yes. Up until it gets above the soil surface. So you don't just bury the sprout. You're talking about that method. Now, again, I haven't done it yet, so I don't know for sure. But the potato, definitely that stored solar energy is what helps it to poke back up through the ground. But once it reaches that sunlight and it has some roots from it, it no longer really needs that potato. No. So it can work. I mean, I know people are doing it. I just haven't done it yet because I haven't had a need to do it yet. Maybe I will if I buy like a specialized potato or something. But yeah, I'm going to do it next year just because. Let's see here. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Alex Kuna says it has to be arborist chips with the leaves still in it. Absolutely. When I say wood chips, even that is what we're talking about. If you're getting like cypress mulch from the landscape supply store or something, forget about it. It'll be years. I mean, it's difficult. Yeah. No, we're talking about arborist chips with all the plants in it. Ha. Muddy Paw says, yeah, here west of DFW, we nap like a Viking in the afternoon. Just too hot. Nap like a Viking, that's not really a thing, but we'll make it a thing, definitely. For sure. I mean, if it gets too hot, man, oh, I get tired quick. I get tired quick if it gets hot. I mean, seriously. Let us see here. What? Pam from South Africa says use the growing tip of the squash plant. Cook like spinach and add 1 or 2 teaspoons of peanut butter. What? So you saute it, the growing tip of the squash, and then peanut butter. Now I'm going to have to try this. Pamela says, enjoy your expertise in teaching. I have learned to create banana water and watch plants get to work. Captain Kurt. All right. I'm glad you're having success with that, my friend. Critical Thinker says, is Build a Soil a good place to get soil amendments for cannabis? It can be. Yeah, it can be. They're pricey, but it can be. The thing is that you got to remember, you want to mix that stuff up and let it cook for 4 weeks at least. You got to let it cook, but it gets way more complex when you start talking about doing it like that. Argyle says, garlic review video coming this year. Maybe. That might be one to do over the winter, or, well, I'm going to stop making videos on this channel over the winter. But so far I can say, okay, so the Italy Hill is really pungent, really strong and pungent, like full on flavor, nice big cloves. It's my favorite so far. Really easy to peel. But there is the Killarney, the Killarney strain to me was sort of uneventful. It was sort of flavorless. I mean, and it was not flavorless, but it tasted kind of like store-bought garlic, like just kind of, okay, regular garlic, the Killarney. But the Asian Tempest tasted like a combination. It was still somewhat pungent, but really sweet as well, really sweet. So the Asian Tempest was very different from the Italy Hill. So I'll be able to say things like, because we eat garlic all the time. So I'll be able to say for sure. Mr. Huggy Bear says, is the Travel Like a Viking channel going to get some love this winter? Absolutely it is. Once I stop making videos here, I'm going to make one every Friday. Or I'm going to make a video every week on the Travel Like a Viking channel all winter. Definitely. We got to get moving along because we're only 1 year into a 10-year odyssey. Mountainside Homestead says, is there anything I can do to attract pollinators other than planting flowers? I've planted tons and tons of flowers and I've still only seen maybe 10 bees this whole year. Man, unfortunately, that is a common occurrence, guys. The pollinator populations are just collapsing. I mean, collapsing before our eyes. They really are. And I'm not just making this up. I know this from firsthand experience and also from sources that I trust, and just observing and then using reasoning. And so, of course, that's happening. I mean, their habitat is being destroyed, and we're constantly dumping toxic poisons all over everything to kill things. And we're taking away all their food source. I mean, think of the standard lawn. They dump chemicals all over it to kill any type of food source. Clover or dandelions or any of that kind of stuff, wipe it all out. Got to have just a green carpet of lawn. And so there's nothing for them to eat and stuff. So even if your house, like I wish I had a drone shot of where I live, it could go up and my garden would be like an oasis of flowers and all that in an otherwise pretty much barren. I mean, just people that, and there might be a few flowers here and there that have accidentally got there, or a couple of people plant petunias and stuff, but they don't have like a bursting backyard. So it doesn't, it unfortunately, us in our little garden is kind of like a drop in the ocean. It's like, okay, well, it just doesn't attract them. There's not much besides planting flowers. That's about all you can do. I mean, really. So, but yeah, if you really want to attract pollinators, I would say plant fennel. The fennel, in my experience, is swarming with pollinators, hundreds of them, to an unbelievable degree, way more than any other plant. Although all the flowers, sunflowers, multi-heading sunflowers, but the fennel is just constantly attracting. It's got thousands and thousands of little flowers on it, constantly attracting pollinators. DLR says, I've seen fewer bees and butterflies over the last few years, but an increase in grasshoppers. Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Definitely, guys, it's a real thing. It's the total collapse of insect populations is happening right before our eyes. And it's another, along with the death of the soil and the microbiome in the soil, is a major, major issue. People don't understand this. Without pollinators, life as we understand it will not exist in the way it does. Not even close. So it's, I mean, and how many of you know this? And now there might be some exceptions to this, or people that haven't paid attention. But here's just one test. Here's one gauge to tell. But when I was a kid, I would go for a drive in the country. We would come home from my uncle's or from a place in the country, and we would come back, and the car would be plastered with bugs, all different kinds of bugs. The front of the car would have a bunch of wings sticking out of it and stuff, and they'd be having to turn on the windshield wiper and stuff to get the bugs off. And then even when I was starting to drive motorcycles on the road, when I was 16, 20 and stuff, when I would come home at night, I would get a bunch of insects into the face and stuff. But now there's none, virtually none. There's no insects on the front of my car. I would drive occasionally when I still ride. I would drive the motorcycle home like last year and the year before and stuff, and not receive a single insect in the face, not one. And so this is alarming. This is deeply. This illustrates the collapse of the insect population, and it's happening everywhere. And it's happening in the oceans. And guys, I have no idea. Ooh, Mississippi Soldier, read your super chat. Where's the super chat? Sorry about that. Oh, there we go. $5. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate this. It says, can you get fungus because of leaf mold? And does it need to be composted before use? What kind of fungus are you talking about? So if you're getting proper leaf mold from the instructions on the video that I made, where you're going out and you're getting the stuff that basically looks like soil, okay, from a good source, that not from like a swamp, but a good source that is nice and smells wonderful and looks like coffee grounds, that kind of leaf mold, there's going to be lots of fungus in it, but there's going to be a very healthy balance. The leaf mold is the best source of nutrients, or of microorganisms. It has a huge diversity of microorganisms. Okay, it says your fruits. Now, so can it create fungus in your fruits? I'm going to say no. No, it would actually combat pathogenic fungus because it's a balance. And so it's going to help to crowd out. So you need to be making the aerated compost teas and using the leaf mold. Watch my video on how to do it. Use the leaf mold in there. Okay, so your fruits had fungus on them. Well, in that case, you might want to experiment with the sulfur. The JDOM sulfur can quickly. Okay, so the sulfur, I would atomize the sulfur. That will quickly take care of most of it. But also, you should be using, if there's any fungus or disease issues, you can be using the aerated compost tea with the leaf mold in it, and you spray it all over the whole plant, and that's going to help to crowd out those pathogenic bacteria. It really does. So the best pesticide is the prevention, the use of the aerated teas to help to crowd out, but also to help to make the plant so strong that the other stuff can't get a foothold. And if you're real serious about it, then you will make the foliar, the bloom foliar with the bat guano from the video I made a couple weeks ago, because the bat guano has got properties in it that are very antibacterial, as far as pathogenic. I would have to brush up on the exact, but it's the chitin that is in the guano that is going to make the plants exceptionally robust to pests and diseases. And so you really can use that. Now you can atomize that stuff. So maybe I'll make a video on how to use the atomizer. You will get the same 1 gallon of solution will go 10 times further with an atomizer. Yes, hit the like button, everybody. Remember to do that. Thank you. But the leaf mold is not going to give your plants mold. No, it is just not like that. It's going to actually help to combat that. So prevent it by the aerated compost teas and the application of the foliar sprays with the bat guano. Watch the 2 videos. But then if you do have the fungi or the molds, the Jadam sulfur, apply that. And that will typically get rid of it. And some labs. Or you could apply labs. If you don't have the sulfur, apply a strong thing of labs, like 3 ounces a gallon. You can even do that and spray it all over. And the labs will help big time. So VA Green says, is there any reason not to use both bloom formulas on your channel? Well, it depends, so if you're talking about like inside of a greenhouse like that, not really. No, if you're making the one with the bat guano and stuff, it pretty much gives you everything that you're going to need. The benefit of the original one with the bananas and stuff is that it's free and it's accessible to everybody. Everyone can get bananas and molasses and make the labs from milk. So those are its main advantages, and it works wonderful, especially applied to the soil. If you apply that to the soil, really helps to nourish the life in the soil. But as far as spraying onto the leaves, if you make the bat guano one, that's all you're going to need. The bat guano and seabird guano and the earthworm castings, that's really the top. I mean, that's really good stuff. And so I would do it that way. If I'm greenhouse growing or something indoors, I would not use the banana one indoors. Because you don't have that same mass. It's different. But I would spray the bat guano one on the leaves and keep the banana one for the soil, definitely, because it will nourish the life in the soil big time. Hogue, $5. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, Nate, thanks for hanging out with us on your busy day. Are you rolling through Indy on your way back, or are you tight on time? I know, my man. We're tight on time. We're tight on time because we've got already plans when we get back. We've got to meet back up with my brother, and we're going to go to he already bought tickets for a home run derby. The tin caps is like it's like a home run derby thing with the family and kids and stuff. So yeah, I know it's stuff's so busy right now, but we'll make it happen sometime, my friend, because I know you're in Indianapolis. But thank you for the contribution, my friend. And yes, let us just take a rain check on some sushi, because like I said, that's the only thing I can't make myself. And so I love some sushi. Lucas says chemtrails. Yeah, chemtrails all over the place, aren't they? Let's see. Mr. Huggy Bear, best place to get molasses would be Amazon. My Amazon storefront, you can get, that's the best deal on molasses. $18 for the gallon, and that's the best deal on it. Otherwise, you could go to like a Gordon's Food Service. That can work, Yes, mom computer. VA Green says, sounds good. That's pretty much what I was thinking. Always pays to ask the expert. Definitely, yes. Yeah, keep the bat one for the leaves, the banana one for the soil. You're good to go. So Ooh, Lisa T says, can we do an indie meetup this winter? We'll check on Discord. That would be good. That would be good and very doable. We can just drive to Indy. So yes, we should do it like a group meetup. That would be really cool. Yeah, that would be cool. I'll try and combine that with a couple of other things I got to do there. So, okay, guys. Well, it's been real. We're at the 90-minute mark. Thank you all very much for hanging out with me. I didn't have my props and stuff today, but we still shared a lot of good knowledge and a lot of good. It's just great, I appreciate hanging out with you guys. It's always just wholesome, and good and positive. So I thank you guys for that. If you haven't joined the Discord chat, there's a link in the description to get into the Discord. Just do it. You can post pictures. There's all kinds of good stuff. Real people's experience in there. It's all part of the Viking Tribe. If you shop on Amazon, use the link in the description to get into Amazon. It's the Viking storefront, and you can buy things that I talk about. That's great. But also just get into Amazon through that link, and whatever you purchase during that browsing window session, we get the credit for it. So that's what we need. Doing that kind of stuff is what helps me to keep the channel free of sponsors. So I don't have to take every video and say, but first I would like to thank today's sponsor, and it's this and this product, and oh, thank goodness I found longevity, blah, blah, blah. I'm just not about that. So doing little things like doing all your shopping on Amazon through my links helps to keep it free of all that kind of stuff for always. I want it to always be free of that. Will it be? I don't know, but I want it to be. So the only kind of products I'm going to push are my own, like the Viking granular nutrients, that we are going to be making several hundred more buckets this winter. And so I will have them ready to go by like late January. So, that stuff's going to come, but there's going to be a website for it. So there's still some Egyptian walking onions left. Those are going to get out in the next couple weeks. Obviously, I'm not home, so I don't have the list. But there's still some spots left if you want to get some. It's just $40 to my PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App. Give me your address, and I will ship them out. You'll get a nice bunch of Egyptian walking onions and some Viking-grown Tahitian melon squash seeds, okay? So you can still get some of those, and I will see the Thrive Tribe on 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday morning on the Thrive Like a Viking channel. And then I will see you guys right here next week at the same time. Thank you.